Hi lovely viewers, welcome back to my channel. Today in this video I'm going to share with you how to fill out the MEOWS chart, that is the modified early obstetric warning signs. So in the assessment station, if you get an antenatal or a postnatal scenario, and after you've done your assessment, including your maternal observations or what we call the vital signs, you are expected to fill out the modified obstetric early warning signs chart. That's the MEOWS chart. You are supposed to fill it out. Most of the candidates who have to go back to do research are usually those that don't really get filling out the MEOWS charts well. So today I'm going to take you through how to fill out the MEOWS chart appropriately to pass your APIE, your assessment station in the APIE stations. All right, so some of the stuff that goes on with the MEOWS chart is people don't really get to know exactly where to put the maternal observation. If it is heart rate, she doesn't know where exactly to put that heart rate in the boxes, and some also do not know how to put in the date, the timing, how to sign, or let me put it, some just know how to do everything on the MEOWS chart but fail to complete it properly. If you are ready, let's get straight into the video. Okay guys, so let's go straight into filling out the MEOWS chart. So this MEOWS chart, you are going to get it in your assessment station as part of the tools. That's one of the main tools you are going to fill out at your assessment station. That's if you get a postnatal or an antenatal scenario. Okay, so you can see here that the first part here is the patient's details. Okay, usually this is going to be pre-filled for you in the OSCE exams, but in real life you have to put the patient's details there. If it also happens that it hasn't been done there even in the exam, make sure you fill it out. Okay, and then here you can see the MEOWS chart is a modified early obstetric warning score, which is used in pregnancy and up to 6 weeks postpartum. All right, so here the word of admission is going to be in your scenario, so you put it there. So if it's in the antenatal assessment unit, you pop it the antenatal assessment unit. If it is in the delivery suite, you put delivery suite. So let's say, for example, this is an antenatal assessment unit. So let's put, it's usually going to be pre-filled. Okay, antenatal assessment. Okay, and then the date, let's say it's 20th January 2023. All right, and then it's going to, so this part is if the patient is moved from this assessment unit to another ward, then you have to fill this part. Also, you have to fill out the admission weight. So let's say, for example, our patient was 58 kilograms. We put it there. And then here, I always say to candidates that for the frequency of observations when it comes to the MEOWS, it's already stated there. So after you filled out your MEOWS, look at that. The parameters are all there. So if the patient scored 2 or more red in the MEOWS chart, this is it. That is the recommendations there. Okay, so immediate alert to midwife in charge, senior, it is all written there. And then the how do you call it, the frequency is here. Repeat the observations or the MEOWS at least every 15 minutes. Do a fluid balance chart. It also tells you everything you should do. So if the patient, and it's up to here, so response to treatment, yes, then you tail it down to 30 minutes. If it is no, you move to this side. So the recommendation is there. So what I always say to candidates is that when you get a scenario at your recommendation stage, already your MEOWS chart is giving you some recommendations already. Then you have to add on specific recommendations to it that is pertaining to the specific scenario that you got. So already you can get some recommendations from the first page of your MEOWS chart. So if the patient scored 1 red or more than 2 or more yellows, these are the recommendations. Okay, and then if it is 1 yellow, this is the recommendation as well. All right, And then it says that required response to clinical deterioration. Whenever you are handing over, use the S-bar. That's the situation background assessment recommendation communication tool, which is what you are going to use to escalate or hand over to the examiner, all right, in the assessment station or in the planning station, even in the evaluation. It is the S-bar we use, all right. Then down here it says complete maternal sepsis screening tool if the patient looks unwell or she triggers on MEOWS. So when we say triggers on MEOWS, it means the patient has had either yellows or reds. Don't worry, we are going to go into the MEOWS chart so that you understand the red, the yellow, and the white boxes. All right, now let's move into the chart itself. So you can see it is color coded. You can see the red. I was talking about the amber, and then the white, and then red again. So the colors are from white, red, and then amber. Okay, so just look at the respiratory side. So the MEOWS chart is just a tool. Is a tool used to record maternal observations or maternal vital signs. Is that okay? Lovely. So you can see on here, let's go straight into the boxes first, and then we'll come back to the patient's details. So obviously in every chart, you should be able to indicate your patient's details there. So you have the patient's surname, the first name, the hospital number, and then the NHS number, okay? And then in the exam, for the purpose of exam, there will be candidate name there. So you pop your name there. If there is no candidate name, that's fair enough. Just fill your paragraph. And then at the end of it, there is a portion where you can sign, okay? So there is date and time. So you have to always date it and then time it. And it's unfortunate that most candidates go back because they forget to write the date and time. I ask myself why, even though that is the first box you see. I'm sure sometimes examination nervousness and pressure just makes people want to quickly, go straight into charting their observations. But always remember to put the date and the time. Then you can see respiratory rate per minute there. So this first box, so you can see the deepened lines from the top here to the down. These are all for respiratory. Okay, respiratory rate per minute. And then this one, this second box here is for oxygen saturation. Yeah. And then we have the air or oxygen. So if the oxygen saturation, you plot it there, then it is asking you whether that saturation you got is a patient on air or on oxygen or on any device. All right. Then the next one is temperature. Okay. And each parameter, you have white, amber, red, white, amber, red. We have heart rate there. It has white, amber, red in it. I hope you can see that. So this side from here to here is for the heart rate, maternal heart rate, okay? And then the next one is systolic blood pressure, okay? So systolic blood pressure is there. So in some of the MEOWS charts, you are going to have, I'm going to pin or pipe the MEOWS charts that are on some of the examination centers website, okay, that some candidates have downloaded and shown to me. So some of it will give you parameters as to, the heart rate you should. Yeah, so it's going to give you parameter as to whether you should use arrow or just dot or whatever in there, okay? So as you can see on the picture I've posted, you can see there, all right, the picture piped on this video, you can see. But then just know that in all the parameters, it's amber, red, and white, okay, boxes. Then the diastolic blood pressure too is there. So from here to here, it's recording diastolic blood pressure from white, amber, red, all right? And then urinalysis free test, that's the dipstick test you are going to do in your assessment station. So if you did a dipstick test and you have any, you put it there. And then we have urine output. If the patient is on catheter, you put it there. It's also, you can see urine output with catheter, it's white and amber. And then urine output, no catheter. So here it's going to ask you whether the patient has passed urine within a certain amount. We are going to go through, don't worry. I'm just pinpointing the boxes, what you are supposed to fill out. And then proteinuria, okay, if there were protein in urine. Neurological response is also there. And then we have VIP score, Venflon site. So if the patient is cannulated, you are going to do a VIP score. And then scores here. So when you are done, you are going to go from top to bottom and count the number of ambers or yellows you got. So total number of yellow, you write it. If the patient scored 2 yellows, you put 2. Total red score 3. If it is 3, you put it there. And then here is asking you, did you escalate question escalate, yes or no, and it's telling the parameter is Y or N. So if it is yes, you put Y. If it is, then monitoring frequency, which I've already said on the first page, that depending on the number of triggerings, whether the patient triggered 1 yellow, 2 yellows, 1 red, one, it's all at the front page of the MEOWS chart. It's going to tell you if it's, you should do it every 15 minutes, every 1 hour, every that. And then when you finish, transfer rates, low, moderate, high. So LMH. So if the patient is a low risk, you put L. If it is moderate risk, M. If it is high risk, and then you sign, okay? So I'm using a pencil because I'm going to use the same chart again. So that I can erase it. But then in your exam, you're going to be given a pen to fill out your chart. So the surname, let's say for example the patient's surname is Henson, okay, and then the first name is Vida, and then the hospital number is 1 2 3 4 5 and 6, and then the NHS number is 445 666 777. So you put it all there. Make sure you fill every part of the pathogram, okay? So the date, let's say, is 21st of January 1991. So you pop it there small. Try and fit it in. Don't mind me, I'm kind of overlapped. I have overlapped a little bit into the next box, but try and make your writings as small as possible so you can fit in there. And then the time, let's say assume it is 1500 hours. So in your exam, the scenario is going to tell you what time you should assume it is. So use that time, even if it's 8 o'clock and the scenario is telling you to assume it is 1500 hours, make it 15 o'clock, okay? So the first parameter you are expected to fill out on the MEOWS chart here is the respiratory rate. And then you can see the respiratory rate is in rate per minute, okay? Respiratory rate per minute, all right? And then we've got in the first box here, you can see any respiratory rate greater than or equal to 25 beats per minute. As you can see there, greater than or equal to 25 beats per minute, you are going to document it in the red box. Anything 21 to 24 rates per minute, you are going to put it in the yellow box. And then 11 to 20, which is normal, is going to go in the white box. And then anything below 10 breath per minute is going to 10, equal to 10 or less than 10 is going to go in the red. So some candidates go back because when the examiner tells them the rate, the respiratory rate, instead of charting it in the appropriate box, they end up charting it in the wrong box, okay? So if your respiratory rate is 25 breath per minute, you have no business filling out that 25 in the yellow because this yellow says 21 to 24. Do you get it? So if it's 25, 26, 27, this is where we are going to plot it. If it is below 10 or it is 10 or below, you plot it here. If it is between 11 to 20 breath per minute, then this is where you are going to plot it. So be very, very vigilant where you plot it. So for the sake of this exam, let's say as though your respiratory rate was 19 rates per minute, okay? So that falls in the white box, okay? So usually some people will just put dot there, but what I say is that I put the dot. It's better to put the dot and then write the actual rate because number one, nursing or midwifery care is continuity of care. So if you just put a dot and then you hand over and your next, colleague comes in, the dot is not going to tell her exactly what the rate was. It could be that it was 16. It could be that it was 17. It could be it was 20. So just make sure that is what I do. Make sure that you put the dot plus the actual rate, tiny, make it small so that it can all fit in. So let's say, for example, it was 24 breath per minute. Obviously, it's going to go in the amber because this amber box says 21 to 24, okay? Now, the next thing to talk about is the oxygen saturation. So the oxygen saturation, you can see, it's been divided into only two boxes, red and white, okay? So that means that in the oxygen saturation, there is no amber box there or yellow. Amber, it's yellow, okay? Yeah, so let's say, for example, the oxygen saturation, if it was 95 to 100%, you are going to put it in the white box. So that means it's normal. So the white boxes indicate normal findings or normal parameters. And then the yellow and the red are abnormal, depending on the severity of it, okay? So yellow means it is abnormal. and then red means it is also abnormal but very severe. Okay, so let's say, for example, this patient's heart oxygen saturation was 98%, so you put it there, 98%. Okay, and then if it was below 95%, you are going to pop it in the red box. If it was 92, obviously it's going to come here. So anything below 95% is going to come here. So normal oxygen saturation is 95 to 100. That is why the 95 to 100 is in the yellow, is in the white box. And then we come to air or oxygen. So here you said the oxygen saturation is normal, which is 98%. Is a patient on normal air? Air means patient is breathing normally. If not, is the patient using oxygen? Is the patient on oxygen? If the patient is on oxygen, how many liters per minute? You can see it. I hope you can see it well. So you can see the patient is on oxygen is liters, oxygen liters per minute. If the patient is on any other device which is helping them to, maintain their saturation, what device is it? Usually in OSCE, patient is going to be on air. So if it is air, you can see air or oxygen here, and then the parameters are there. It is A is equal to air. So let's say, for example, our patient is on air. So we are going to put A there. Okay. If the patient is on oxygen, if it is 2 liters, you put 2L per minute. So 2 liters per minute, 3 liters per minute, 15 liters per minute. If the patient is on device, what device? You put it there. Okay. Then we come to temperature. So the temperature, you can see we've got red boxes, amber box, white box, come back to amber, and then red box again. So the normal temperature for an adult is 36.0 to 37.4 degrees Celsius. Okay, so let's say, for example, your patient temperature was 36.4 degrees Celsius. Again, I will put the dot there and then write 36.4 against it, degrees Celsius. All right, so that you can know, especially when you go to evaluation station, at least you have the maternal observations that you got during the assessment station, instead of just putting the dots there. So if the patient's temperature was anything between 35.1 to 35.9, obviously it's going to come into the amber. Anything below 35.0 or equal to 35.0 is going to come here. Okay, anything 38.0 to 38.9, you are going to plot it in the red. Anything above or equal to 39.0 degrees is going to come in the red box. All right, then we move on to the heart rate. So heart rate, also you can see all of that. So all that we are saying is that make sure that whatever the patient's actual observation is, you write it in the right space. So let's say for this patient, the heart rate is 110 beats per minute. Where are you going to plot it? So we can see that 110 beats per minute is in this box. Even though 101 to 109 is also in the amber box, it doesn't mean you should plot it in this box because it is 110. The patient's heart rate is 110 and it doesn't fall in this yellow box. It falls in this one instead. So put it in the appropriate box. So you put the dot there, then you put the 110 beside it. If you want to use just dots, that's fine. You can go ahead and use just dots. And then we come to the systolic blood pressure. So at the systolic blood pressure, so on the MEOWS chart, we have a portion for systolic blood pressure. So from here to here, it's for systolic. And then from here to here, it's for diastolic. And it all has the white, yellow, and red parameters. So let's say if the patient had a systolic blood pressure is equal to or more than 200 millimeter per mercury, this is the box, and so on and so forth. So make sure, just as I've said in the heart rate, the fact that from 150 to 159 up to above 200 is all red. Do not plot 150 beats per minute in any other box apart from where that 150 range is. I hope you understand. If the patient's blood pressure was 130, the systolic blood pressure was 130, you can pop it on there and then you put your arrow, okay? And then you rule it. All right, based on the example of MEOWS chart on the NMC website, and then you rule it. Then you come down to, so you can see that in this box we have 130 to 139. So in this case, because I've written the 130, whoever takes over will know that it was 130. It wasn't 133. It wasn't 138. Do you get me? Lovely. Now we go on to the diastolic. So let's say, for example, the patient's diastolic blood pressure was 60. Okay, so we pop the 60 there, and then we make the arrow, all right? And then it can join to the systolic. So whoever takes it, don't mind my ruling. If you have a ruler, it will be best you use a ruler so that you can have a good straight line. Now that moves on to the urinalysis free test. So if you did urinalysis, you are going to pop it on there. But mind you, there is a space here for proteinuria. So that means you know that on urinalysis, it's not only proteins that we see. We also see ketones, leukocytes, and all other parameters in the urine, okay? So you can pop the other ones there. So if for this patient, for example, she had 2 pluses leukocyte, you can put it there, 2 pluses leukocyte. Make it small so that it can fit in there, just as I've done, all right? If it was 2 pluses ketones, you pop it in there. It was 2 pluses so you pop it in there, all right? And then we come to urine output, okay? So for the urine output, if the patient was on urine output per catheter, if you know that the normal, that is the main reason why on the first page, remember we put the patient weight there, okay? Because it is the patient weight that is going to make us calculate how many mils of urine we are expecting in every hour for that particular patient. And so how to calculate normal urine output for a particular patient, you need 0.5 mils per kilogram per hour. So our patient was 58 kilograms or 56, if I quite remember. So let's say, for example, our patient was 50 kilograms. So that means that every hour, 0.5 mils per kilogram is going to be 25. If our patient is 50 kilograms, half of it is going to be 25. So we are expecting the patient to do a urine output of 25 mils per every hour, okay? So here, if the patient is able to do, that is, if your patient in the OSCE test is on catheter, then fine. This is where you are going to chart it. So if the patient, usually in OSCE, patient is not on catheter, patient is urinating normally, okay? So we are not going to fill that part because our patient is urinating by herself, okay? But then if the scenario is that the patient is on urethral catheter, then from the scenario, you may find out how many mils that patient did within the hour. If it's not, then you have to ask the assessor to confirm, all right? So let's say, for example, a patient is not on catheter. The patient is urinating freely. So here, if urine output, no catheter, this is the box. Urine output, no catheter. And here again, you can see we have white, yellow, red. Urine output, catheter, is white and red. Okay, so if the patient is on catheter, if the patient did less than half of their body weight per hour, this is what you are going to document. If the patient did more than or equal to half of their weight per hour, this is where in the white, which means it's normal. Anything you chart in the normal means, you chart in the white means it's normal, okay? So the urine output, no catheter. The parameters are, PU means pass urine. So this says not pass urine in 10 hours. If the patient has not passed urine in 10 hours, it is in the red. Not pass urine in 6 hours, it's in the yellow. Pass urine within 6 hours is in the white, which means it's normal. So as a normal human being, every 6 hours, at least you should be able to urinate. So let's say, for example, a patient has passed urine, because in the APIE, you are going to do urinalysis, and it is always that when the patient came, she urinated and has given you a sample. So it's going to come in. So you use a correct. Okay, so you tick like this, okay, in the white. But read your scenario. If the patient has not passed urine in 6 hours, pop it there. If the patient has not passed urine in 10 hours, pop it there, all right? Then this brings us to the proteinuria. So when you did your urine dipstick test, this is where you are going to document it, okay? So whatever you got on your dipstick test, if it is 2 pluses protein, you are going to put it in the yellow. If it is more than 2 pluses, it is going to be plotted in the red, okay? So if it is 2 plus, you put 2 plus, just as it has been done there, all right? If it is more than 2 plus, if it is 3 plus, you make it 3 plus, okay? Some people will go like plus, 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 which is 3, or plus, plus, which is 2, or if it is 4 plus, 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 all right? So whichever way, okay? But then in the parameter here, you can see it is 2 plus, and then greater than 2 plus. I'm popping the the MEOWS chart on the NMC website. So whatever parameter is asking you to do, you do it that way. And then your logical response, we can see we have red boxes from unresponsive to alert, APIE. Okay, so if the patient is alert, you put it here. A, let's say our patient is alert, all right? So either put A, if it can go there, you put ALERT, alert, all right? And then if it is patient is confused, you put C. If patient can respond to only voice, you put V. If patient can respond to only pain, you put P. If the patient can respond to is unresponsive, you put U. Okay. The fact that, again, I'll stress the fact that confusion, voice, pain, unresponsive are all red doesn't mean that you should put voice at the pain box, in the pain box. Put it at the appropriate box. Okay. So let's say, for example, for the sake of this scenario, our patient is alert, so we've put A there. And then if the patient is cannulated, all right, we know that we have the VIP score, which is now part of the skills that candidates are examined or tested on. So we have the VIP score is from 0 to 5, all right? So if the patient is scoring 0, it's white. You put it's 0, you put it there. So for that one, there is no red, yellow, amber, or whatever. So if the patient is scoring 1, you put 1. If the patient is scoring 0, you put 0. So for the sake of this exam, let's say the patient is scoring 1. You put your 1 there. So now we are done. So, yeah, guys. So when you get to this side, you are going to count the number of yellows that you got and the number of reds that you got. So we can see from the top here. So you go back up and then start reading through. Okay, so that's 1 yellow, all right, at the hatch rate. And then we had another yellow here for proteinuria. So we have 2 yellow scores. Okay, so we'll put it there. Sorry, guys. 2 yellow. Then you go back up again to count if you got any red scores. So we count through reading. So far, I've not seen any red. No, nothing. So there is no red score. So what do we then put there? 0, right? And then because this is a maternity chart, we go further to answer these questions too. Does the patient have any PV loss? So if it's a postnatal scenario, it's going to be maybe lochia. How is the lochia? Is the lochia, minimal, moderate, heavy? So if it is PV loss, what is it? If it is an antenatal case, then it means it's asking about if there is any bleeding. If there is bleeding, you can put bleeding there. Okay, if it is live PV loss, for the sake of this one, let's make it as and then you go to the uterus. If again this is a postnatal case, for the sake of this one, so if it's an antenatal case, there is nothing there, you leave it blank. All right, so uterus well contracted. So for postnatal, that's the parameter they've given per this chart. It says W/C. W/C means well contracted. Okay, so you ask that, Sister, can you please confirm my patient's uterus? Is it contracted or not? She tells you it's well contracted. If it is not contracted, you put it there, that's not contracted, okay? Or, a soft uterus, okay? If it is an antenatal case, uterus, you are going to leave it because this is asking whether it's well contracted or not, all right? If it's an antenatal case, So, guys, on the MEOWS chart that you most likely meet in the OSCE test, you are going to have pain score on it as well. And so for the pain score, if it is 0, it's going to be in a white box. If it is 1 to 2, it's going to be in the amber. If it is 3, it is going to be in the red. Okay, so just look at it and then put it at the right box. Okay, let's talk about the wound. So if the wound is there, whatever the parameter tells you to pull, you put it there. So usually wound can be either oozing or clean and dry. Sometimes the parameter will tell you to put C+D, that is clean and dry. But then if it doesn't put any parameter there, as you've seen here, you are going to put, if it is clean there, Okay, you make your handwriting very small so that you can put it there, but usually it's going to give you the parameter to put in there: clean C plus dry C there, or whatever the wound parameters are. When you are done with all these escalation, here it's asking whether you escalated or not. So here, are we going to escalate? Yes, because the patient has got 2 yellows. So we are going to, it's telling us Y or N. Y means yes and N means no. So we are going to put Y there. And then the frequency. So the frequency, we will go back on the front of the page and see if the patient's frequency, if it is more than or equal to 2 yellows, what do we do? Let's go and have a look. So here we can all see that if it is, this is it. So 1 red or 2 or more yellows, this is what we do. So it is going to be every 15 minutes. Okay, so we are going to put 15 minutes there. So that means that here our frequency is going to be 15 minutes. So you put it on there like that. So that makes our patient either high or moderate. So 2 yellows is high. So we put H there. Okay. And then if it is 1 yellow, it can be moderate. If it is 1 red, it's still high. Okay. So as the colors go, it makes it more higher or low. If it's the patient didn't score any red, no amber, no red, then it's going to be low, L. Then you sign. Again, you can put your initials plus sign. So this is Vida Henson. And then you sign there. All right. So this is how to fill the MEOWS chart. Make sure you fill everywhere of the MEOWS chart. So here we are going to put not applicable because the patient is not using catheter. So we put N/A. That is not applicable there. So anywhere that is not applicable, as to if had it been that this was an antenatal case, uterus well contracted is going to be not applicable, because in antenatal case, we don't expect the uterus to be well contracted. Do you get me? It's in postnatal that we are looking out for involution and well contracted uterus. So we would have put NA there. Okay. If it wasn't a postnatal case and there was no wound, we will put not applicable at the wound side as well. But then I'm also making the end part of this pathograph. There are some differences in some of the pathographs that you meet at the test center. So